Hello there and welcome to Henrythejedi.com. My name is Henry Mbata, but I'm also, of course, called Henry the Jedi. Well, we are continuing with our Mokonzi the robot training, and today is a big topic that I know all of you guys have been waiting for. We are finally going to create a walk cycle involving our beloved character Mokonzi the robot. As I keep reminding you guys, if you can't pronounce it yet properly, I can only feel sorry for you. It's Mokonzi. Mokonzi means chief in a language which I speak from the Congo. The language is called Lingala. So Mokonzi means chief in the Lingala language. Now, Mokonzi's walk cycle is not a conventional one. In other words, it's not an ordinary walk cycle. Because we at Henrythejedi.com, we like challenges. Now, as you know, most creatures are four-legged, but we are going to push the boundary of what is possible by making sure that we can actually rig all the 6 legs of Mokonzi the robot. Because if you look at your character by now, which I hope you've been designing and following all along, of course, you will realize that you don't have 2 legs or 4 legs, but Mokonzi got 6 massive legs that are all going to be rigged inside of 3D Max. And by the way, I have my own preferences as to what mechanical objects should do. If you notice, well, you realize that most of my animations or most of my creations are, I always try to show you like the behind the scenes of what actually happens. Let me give you an example. If you're ever lucky to see the workings of a clock, like if you can see all the springs and all the gears working together just to adjust the time, you will appreciate better the engineering that went into it. The same way that if you look at Mokonzi, you'll realize that all the hydraulic systems, all the mechanical works that go behind producing its motion are clearly visible to the naked eye, because I just love the detail, the behind the scenes kind of looks. Much the same way as I also like the Bumblebee, the robot, to the point where you can actually see all the heavy animation that actually goes on to create the phenomenal effect that we see as an end result. Because I always like to appreciate what actually goes on to make something possible. And I'm sure, of course, if God could take you on a trip to show you behind the scenes as to how the universe works, I can assure you, you will all even appreciate better the way in which everything is made. And now remember to keep supporting us, because it's through your support that I can actually put such kind of amazing training together. Training that can only be found, of course, only at Henrythejedi.com. So please, unfortunately I don't require around me. I was going to request for a drum beat, Anyways, let's have an African drum beat as we're about to read Mokonzi the robot, Come on, African drum beat. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Mokonzi, here we come. We're coming to read you.
Now, first things first, we are going to change the time configuration to according to the number of frames that we want our robot to work on. So we'll come here to the time configuration, and then we are going to enter there 90 frames for the end time. So enter 90. Okay. I've chosen 90. Why? Because this is, as you can see, a 6-legged creature. Mokonzi is quite magnificent indeed. 6-legged, not 4-legged. So in other words, with 6 legs, of course, it means it will need more time to be animated through the scene. Okay. So of course, if it was just a 2-legged creature, we'll just have 30 frames or so. But because it's 6 legs, we're going for 90 frames. And then also, we need further control elements that will help us see, especially when we need to know whether the feet are laying flat on the floor. So to add those additional control objects, we come here to the create panel. We're looking for shapes, and then we're going to use rectangles. So select a rectangle there, turn on auto grid, and in whichever view you're working on, just simply draw a rectangle there first. Okay, select the moving tool, and of course we need to align it to one of these chain objects here so that it can be linked to the rectangle. So select the align tool and then pick the chain. Make sure you can align it on the X, Y, and Z position. As you can see, I've checked them all, and I think it needs to be aligned on the pivot points like that. It's okay. Of course, we need to adjust the length of our rectangle a bit, perhaps the width. As long as it won't look as if the two are intersecting, and perhaps we want to add a corner radius like that. Yes, just to make it a bit fancy. And then let's come here to the rendering, because it shouldn't just be a flat thing. We should be able to see its depth so that we can easily manipulate it, of course. So we're going to check on enable in viewport, and as you can see, of course, we can adjust the thickness. You can easily see, of course, from this viewport here especially, what the rectangle looks like, and of course you can see it's laying nicely flat on the floor. Let me see, perhaps we just want more thickness. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, and then just change its color to something nicer, maybe green. Yeah, now we know. Yeah, we can easily identify it from the scene, of course. And of course it needs to have a proper name. Let's see. And let's see how we can rename it. Let's say this one here, for instance, we're going to rename it to, let's see, dummy. I'm just going to paste my name there. Dummy front leg chain right. Let me actually show you guys this name in a bigger view. Now, as you can see, this dummy object here is linked to this chain. Okay, so this is an IK chain that we created in the previous tutorial. You can see it's represented in a line there coming from the bones. So that's why we're calling it a dummy, and then it's the dummy of the front leg, and of the right chain, of course. So that's the name we've given it there. Okay, and then of course we need to duplicate these objects here, so we're going to select the moving tool, and of course hold down shift and drag, and then we're going to make, let's see, 5 copies like that. Okay, this one here we need it to come here, so select the align tool, and of course we're going to align it to the chain there, the X and Y and Z position, of course. Hit OK. Of course it needs to be renamed, and okay, let's give it a proper name. Let's see, I can give it this name here that I saved. Let's call it dummy middle leg chain right. So it's sitting in the middle leg here, and that's why we place it there. Okay, up next, align that to that chain over there. Hit OK, and of course it needs to be renamed. Please remember, you can name it whatever you want, but I'm simply using this kind of naming conventions so that we do not get lost in any ways in our modeling, in our walk cycle animation, because proper naming is really going to go a long way in helping us determine what we're doing. Of course, up next, this one must be aligned to the chain over here. Okay, mind you, we are not linking to the bones, we're linking to the IK chains. Okay, and of course it's sitting on the right hand side, so it's for the front leg on the left. That is, sorry, not on the right hand side but on the left, because this one was the right leg. So this should be, of course, the left leg. Okay, and then of course we are going to align that to that one. Perfect. Okay, renaming. As I told you guys, naming is so important. And of course, finally, this one here, let's rename it so long. yeah, it's at the rear, so we're going to align it again, of course, to to that chain over there at the back. Okay, so now as you can see, we do have 6 rectangles sitting on the floor waiting for our next command. I must say congratulations to you for getting this far. And guess what? Our tutorial is over basically. Now you know what goes on. Just kidding, of course. Let's continue. Yeah, you were already patting yourself on the shoulders a bit, eh? For having completed the job already. But I can assure you, for those of you especially who have just started with 3D Max and with animation, I must say probably this is the furthest you've ever come to animating a character. So let's continue. Now is the interesting process of linking each of these chains to the right rectangle, of course, so that even if we move any of these, we don't need to select the rectangle. Instead, we're simply going to select, sorry, we're not going to need to select the chain. We're simply going to select the rectangles, and that's a proper way that artists do it, you know. We're going to select this rectangle here. Let's start with this chain here, that is. As you can see, we are working on the right hand side first. I always like to work from the right hand side, I don't know why. Now the tool here, the key here is to use the linking tool and linking each object to the right one. So we're going to select the linking tool, and of course we're going to link the chain to this rectangle here. Okay, so that now we don't need to select the chain anymore. We simply select the rectangle, and by moving it, you can see, of course, our Mokonzi will already start doing its magical things. You see that? We can already pull the leg because, of course, the right control is at the right place. And of course, this will enable us, you see that, to pull Mokonzi's legs in whichever way that we want. Yeah, you see that? So that's the point of linking the IK chain to the right object. Moving on. We're going to select this chain here and link it to, this rectangle. Okay, up next, the chain there, linking tool. Okay, and then of course we come to this side here, linking tool. Perfect. Great. And of course, don't forget the one at the back and link it to the rectangle at the back. Okay, so at this point, if we select the select by name tool, and if we select each of these dummies, let's select the selection tool. If we select, let's see, select all the dummies, you see them, they're selected. If at any point we decide to move them up, you can see how, of course, they will have a strong influence on our scene. Now, we may have all those controls, but we need, of course, one control to control them all. Oh yeah, so for that we are going to the create panel, and for this one we are going to go to the helpers, and we're going to create a dummy. Sorry, not a dummy, but actually a point helper. And let's come to the front viewport here and simply draw one like that and make it a box. As you can see, I've checked the box, and of course please increase its size because you need to see it quite properly. And then we're going to select the moving tool, and let's see, we're going to align it to the root bone here. Hit OK, and then once you've done that, we're going to move it upwards, as you can see, so that it can sit like at the tip of the root bone, like that, of course. Yeah, like that, as you can see. Just make it a bit much more bigger again. Okay, so this one here, this dummy, will control the main movement of our robot, and of course it needs a proper name, so we're going to rename it to something like dummy root. Okay, because it controls them everything. And then we're going to select this bone here, the root bone, and select the linking tool, and of course we're going to link the root bone to this dummy here, like that. Okay, so that now if at any moment we select the root dummy, you can see it will be responsible for pulling everything on its path. You can see it's the one which will be responsible for all this kind of animation. Okay, of course I don't need to remind you at this point, please do save your scene. And I must say it's looking quite promising already. Look at that, eh? Now that we've set up our character to have all the right controls, it's now time to switch to the right view from which everything will happen. And in other words, we cannot really quite animate well from this kind of view because things will go out of control. Instead, we are going to go to the right viewport. Sorry. Or actually, let's come here to the right viewport. Here. And we're going to mine has switched here. Yeah, right click on the viewport label and then select views and then select left. Okay, we are choosing left because the machine guns are facing forward in this direction. Okay, so as you can see, we are working from the left viewport, and we can see of course how the rectangles are planted on the floor at 0 units on the Z axis. Okay, and yeah, so we're going to animate things from the left viewport, so please take that into consideration. I'm going to turn off edge faces here, and so that we can see things of course like this. And guess what, now it's all about the posture. If you've ever been lucky enough to see a wild animal in motion, you should pay attention to the side view. You're going to see exactly what happens with its motion. And even with human beings, we also have our own kinds of walk cycles. Okay, so now we're going to create the posture that Mokonzi will have at the very beginning of its animation. So here we go. We are going to start by working on the rectangle there on the right, at the rear right side. Okay, so that's the one which is selected right now in the left viewport. We're going to begin by moving it backwards. Okay, because remember, as we said, this is where the robot actually begins to animate from. And while it's like that, that's the part also where this one here, this rectangle here, is also going to come backwards. Okay, and sit like that. The entire body, let's select the roots. It seems a bit too elevated right now. We're going to come here to the front viewport, and I'm going to right click and uncheck the show grid option so that we can see of course things cleanly. And at this point here, the body needs to be a bit hunkered down, so we move it down, as you can see. Yeah, so now you'll notice the body has been moved down a bit. And let's see, I think we also need to move it backwards, as you can see. And this leg here, or this rectangle there, further backwards. So you can see so far what we've done with this side here. Okay, we first pulled the rectangles so that they look like this on this side first. Of course we're going to work on the other side as well. And guess what, there's a secret in the motion of an animal with 6 legs like this one. We are first going to ignore the middle ones and concentrate on the main ones that actually do cause the motion. As you can see, we started by moving the rear leg further to the back, and then now we're going to select the front chain, the front dummy on the left hand side. Now this guy here must be moved forward, as you can see. It mustn't be stretched to breaking point, but it must simply be moved forward, as you can see. Okay, and let's analyze the scene a bit. Okay, remember, the robot must look like it's really settled and about to begin its journey of walk. Okay, look at that. Okay, you can see the secret to the motion of a six-legged creature in the case of Mokonzi is that the two opposite legs on the outer levels must be stretched out, as you can see. In other words, the one on the left must be in opposite motion to the one on the right, as you can see. That's why, of course, both of them have been pulled out. And of course, when this one is enclosed inwards, it means, of course, this one also gets closed, of course, as you can see. So do observe that. I'm simply rotating the scene so that you can see, of course, what I'm having in my case. Okay. Now we can turn our attention to the middle legs, these two here. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. When this leg here is forward, automatically it's this middle leg here that must also somehow move a little bit forward. Okay. So we're going to select this leg here, or the dummy there, and of course move it forward, as you can see, just a bit, as you can see. The idea is it shouldn't collide with this leg here. Okay. And guess what that means? It means, of course, that the opposite one, the one over there, or the one there, now that one must have almost a mirror effect to this leg here. So we are moving it, as you can see, of course, opposite, like that. Let's see. I think we also need to select the leg there. Yep, that one there. Can you imagine now we're working on the ones around here on the right hand side, basically. Now those two need to be moved a bit further to the back. And this one here. Yeah, like that. Perhaps this one here more closer, like that. Okay. Still adjusting things. Yeah, those two still. And of course this one again here. Move it a bit more like that. And this one here, we want a bigger bend here at the front. Yeah. So that in this way, you can see, of course, what we have right now. Okay.
Thank you for watching yet another amazing episode in the amazing Mokonzi the Robot training series. My name is Henrythejedi, and remember to support us by purchasing our training DVDs. Get yourselves a copy of one or two or all of them, because together they will put you in such a strong, solid position to take your production to another amazing level of creativity. My name is Henry Mbata, also known as the Jedi, and I'm out of here.